The wraithy scout vessel Nebula Seeker glided silently through the void, stars scattered like distant jewels against the black canvas of space. At the helm, Captain Kang's four-fingered hands gripped the control panel. His pale blue skin reflected the glow of instrument lights as he watched the quantum barrier approach. "Final checks," Kang ordered, his voice steady despite the weight of their mission. "First Officer Han, look up from your station." "All systems optimal, Captain. Stealth measures at maximum efficiency," Han replied. Kang nodded. The crew of 12 worked with practiced precision. They were the best the Rai had to offer. Scientists, explorers and warriors united by a dangerous curiosity. The ship continued forward, drawing closer to the shimmering quantum wall that marked the edge of the forbidden Milky Way galaxy boundary. "Crossing in 10 seconds, announced Navigator Gill, his voice barely above a whisper. No one spoke as the countdown proceeded silently. On the main display, the Nebula Seeker, a vessel designed for stealth and scientific exploration, slipped through the barrier with only the slightest ripple of energy. For a moment, the lights flickered, and a subtle vibration passed through the hull. "We've crossed," Gill confirmed. "We are now in prohibited space." Kang allowed himself a small smile. In 10,000 cycles, no Confederation vessel had deliberately entered the Milky Way. Many scholars believed the ancient ban was based on superstition rather than a genuine threat. The warnings about sleeping giants had been passed down for so long that their origin was lost to history. "Begin passes scans," Kang ordered. "Remember, we observe only. No active probes, no transmissions." The science team, led by Chief Researcher Men, immediately set to work. Their specialized equipment catalogued radiation patterns, gravitational anomalies, and a complex dance of star systems unique to this galaxy. "Captain," Men called out after several minutes. "Initial readings show nothing unusual. Star formation and planetary systems appear consistent with known galactic patterns." "Continue monitoring," Kang replied. "The Confederation wouldn't isolate an entire galaxy without reason." The mission had been planned in secret for nearly a cycle. A small faction within the Confederation Council, led by Elder Ju, had grown frustrated with the lack of information about the Milky Way prohibition. They had recruited Kang and his crew with the promise of making history. Their orders were simple: cross the barrier, gather data from a safe distance, and return without detection. 3 hours into their mission, Tech Officer Lee's voice broke the concentrated silence. "Captain, I'm detecting an unusual fluctuation in the primary drive." Kang frowned. "Specify." "Energy output is dropping by 3%. Now 5%, Lee reported. Engineer Barr rushed to the propulsion control station. Her fingers flew across the diagnostic panel. "Something's interfering with the quantum matrix. The drive is losing cohesion." "Is it the barrier?" Kang asked, moving to join her. "Unknown," Barr replied, her face tense with concentration. "It could be a delayed reaction to crossing or something within this galaxy affecting our technology." Before Kang could respond, the ship lurched violently. Warning signals flashed across every console as the lights dimmed to emergency levels. "Primary drive failure," Barr shouted. "Switching to auxiliary power," she added. The backup systems engaged, but Kang knew they faced a serious problem. The auxiliary drives could maintain life support and basic functions, but they lacked the power needed to cross the quantum barrier again. Without repairs to the primary drive, they were trapped in forbidden space. "Damage report," Kang ordered, his voice calm despite the gravity of their situation. Reports flooded in from across the ship. The quantum matrix, the heart of their propulsion system, had suffered a catastrophic collapse. The cause remained unclear, but the result was undeniable. The Nebula Seeker couldn't leave the Milky Way. "K, "Call his senior staff to the command center," he ordered. Their faces showed the strain of their predicament as they gathered around the tactical display. "Options?" Kang said simply. First Officer Han spoke first. "We have supplies for 60 days. If we reduce consumption, perhaps 80%. "The drive?" Kang asked, looking at Engineer Ba. She shook her head. "The quantum matrix is completely destabilized. We lack the specialized materials to rebuild it. Such repairs would normally require a space dock and support vessels." "And our location?" Kang turned to Navigator Gil. "We're approximately 2 light years inside the boundary," Gil reported. "The nearest star system within this galaxy is about 3 light years from our position." Kang considered their situation. "Can we reach that system using auxiliary power?" Gil calculated briefly. "Yes, but it would take nearly 40 days at maximum auxiliary speed, and we have no data on what awaits us there." Security Chief Yun reminded them, "Remember why we're here. This entire galaxy is off-limits for a reason." Silence fell over the group as the reality of their situation sank in. They were stranded in prohibited space, their mission of quick observation now impossible. Every option carried significant risk. "What about the distress beacon?" suggested researcher Men. Security Chief Yun frowned. "Using it would alert the Confederation to our violation. We would face severe punishment upon rescue, assuming they even came for us." "If they came for us," corrected First Officer Han, "the Confederation might decide it's safer to leave us here than risk sending more ships into prohibited space." Kang looked at each of his crew members. They had all volunteered for this mission, knowing the dangers, but none had expected to be stranded with no way home. Their lives now hung in the balance, with limited options before them. "We will proceed methodically," Kang decided. "First, continue attempts to repair the drive. Second, maintain passage scans of the nearby system. Perhaps there are resources we can use. Third, prepare the distress beacon, but do not activate it yet." The crew nodded in agreement, finding comfort in having a plan despite their dire circumstances. Over the next 3 days, Engineer Ba and her team worked tirelessly on the drive, while researcher Men's science team studied the nearby star system. Their scans revealed a yellow star with 8 planets, the third of which showed signs of a nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere and liquid water. On the 4th day, with repair efforts showing little progress, Kang made his decision. He gathered the crew once more. "We have 2 choices," he stated plainly. "Activate the distress beacon and face Confederation justice, or use our remaining power to reach the nearby system and search for materials to repair our ship." The crew exchanged glances, weighing their options. "The Confederation might never come," Han reminded them. "And the nearby system might contain the very dangers the Confederation warns about," countered Yun. After much discussion, they reached a compromise. They would activate the distress beacon while simultaneously setting course for the nearby system. It was a desperate gamble, but it gave them the best chance of survival. As the Nebula Seeker's auxiliary engines hummed to life, and the distress beacon began broadcasting its repeating signal into the void, Captain Kang looked out at the stars of the Forbidden Galaxy. Whatever secrets the Milky Way held, he and his crew would soon discover them, whether they wished to or not. The distress beacon of the Nebula Seeker pulsed steadily into the darkness of space, its signal reaching out in all directions. Captain Kang stood at the main viewport, his gaze fixed on the distant stars. 3 days have passed since we activated the beacon, he said. 3 days of waiting, hoping, and preparing for whatever might respond to our call. Still nothing, Captain reported Communications Officer Song. Her voice was heavy with fatigue. Like the rest of the crew, she had been working extended shifts, dividing her time between monitoring the beacon and helping with repair efforts. Kang nodded silently. The ship had been drifting deeper into the Milky Way, pushed by subtle gravitational forces they couldn't fully counteract with their limited power. Engineer Barr and her team had made some progress on the drive, but not enough for a successful repair. Captain Navigator Gill's voice suddenly cut through the quiet hum of the bridge. "I'm detecting an object approaching at high speed." The crew snapped to attention, exhaustion forgotten as they rushed to their stations. "On screen," ordered Kang. The main display activated, showing a small blip moving rapidly toward their position. The object changed course with impossible precision, clearly under intelligent control. "It's a ship," confirmed Gill, "unlike any design in our database." Security Chief Yun immediately activated defensive protocols, though everyone knew their damaged vessel could offer little resistance if the approaching ship proved hostile. "Are they responding to our beacon?" asked First Officer Han. "Unknown," replied Song, "but their course adjustment suggests they detected us." The unknown vessel slowed as it approached, coming to a relative stop approximately 5,000 meters from the Nebula Seeker. Now visible through the viewport, its design was indeed unlike anything the Ryi had encountered, sleek and angular, with sections that seemed to flow into each other rather than being clearly segmented as Confederation vessels were. "They're scanning us," reported researcher men studying the sensor readings. "Thorough but non-invasive scans." Captain Kang straightened his uniform. "This is it," he said quietly. "First contact with whatever the Confederation feared." "Captain," called Song, "they're hailing us. Audio and visual transmission." Kang took a deep breath. "Accept the transmission." The main screen flickered, and the bridge crew of the Nebula Seeker found themselves looking at beings they had never seen before. The aliens were bipedal, with 2 arms and a head situated atop a vertical torso. Their skin tones ranged from light beige to dark brown, and their heads featured hair in various colors and styles. They wore matching dark blue uniforms with insignia the Ryi couldn't recognize. One of the aliens stepped forward. The being had short black hair and stood slightly taller than the others. "This is Commander Park of the Earth vessel Artemis," the alien spoke. Their language was automatically translated by the Nebula Seeker's systems. "We detected your distress signal. Do you require assistance?" The bridge fell silent. The words were simple, but their implications were profound. These weren't aggressive beings rushing to attack. They were offering help. Kang stepped forward. "I am Captain Kang of the Ryi vessel Nebula Seeker. We have suffered critical drive failure and are stranded. Any assistance would be..." He paused, searching for the right word. "Appreciated." Commander Park nodded. "We detected the damage to your propulsion systems. With your permission, we'd like to send over a team to assess if we can help with repairs." Security Chief Yun moved closer to Kang. "Captain, allowing unknown aliens aboard is extremely risky," she whispered. "So is remaining stranded in forbidden space," Kang replied quietly. He turned back to the screen. "We welcome your assistance, Commander. Our docking bay is on the port side of our vessel." "Excellent," Commander Park replied. "Our shuttle will arrive in approximately 20 minutes. Artemis out." As the transmission ended, the bridge erupted in nervous discussion. "Did we just make first contact with the sleeping giants?" asked Navigator Gill. "They called themselves Earth Vessel," noted researcher men. "Earth must be their planet of origin." "They look so similar to us, yet different," observed First Officer Han. "Bipedal, symmetrical, with clear communication abilities." Kang raised his hand for silence. "Whatever they are, they've offered help when we desperately need it. Prepare for their arrival. Security, establish a reception protocol, but keep weapons concealed. We don't want to appear hostile." The next 20 minutes passed quickly as the crew prepared for their visitors. a small shuttle detached from the Artemis and smoothly approached the Nebula Seeker's docking bay. The magnetic locks engaged with a gentle thud that resonated through the hull. Kang led a small reception team to meet their visitors. As the airlock cycled and the doors slid open, 5 humans in maintenance uniforms stepped aboard. Commander Park led them, carrying what appeared to be a portable diagnostic device. "Captain Kang," Park greeted with a slight bow. "Thank you for allowing us aboard. These are my engineers, Chief Engineer Kim, Systems Specialist Jun, Drive Technician Choi, and Materials Expert Sim." Kang introduced his own team, noting how the humans observed them with undisguised curiosity. But there was no fear in their eyes, only interest and perhaps a touch of excitement. "If you'll show us to your engine room," requested Engineer Kim, "we can begin our assessment." Engineer Ba led the way to the drive chamber. The humans moved with surprising agility, adapting quickly to the slightly different gravity and atmosphere of the Rai vessel. They asked intelligent questions about the ship's systems, occasionally exchanging glances when they encountered technology unfamiliar to them. In the drive chamber, the humans spread out, examining the damaged quantum matrix with methodical precision. They connected their devices to the Rai systems with surprising ease, almost as if they'd been designed to interface. "Your quantum resonance is completely destabilized," observed Engineer Kim after several minutes. "But the underlying architecture is salvageable." "Can you repair it?" Kang asked. Kim glanced at Park, who nodded. "We can do better than repair it," Kim replied. "We've been developing similar technology ourselves. With your permission, we could implement some modifications that would not only restore functionality, but improve efficiency." Kang hesitated. Allowing aliens to modify their drive technology was unheard of, yet what choice did they have? "How long would these repairs take?" he asked. "With both our teams working together, perhaps 10 hours, Kim replied. Kang exchanged looks with Engineer Ba, who nodded almost imperceptibly. "Proceed," he authorized. What followed was a remarkable display of cooperation and technical aptitude. The humans worked alongside the Rai engineers with surprising harmony, overcoming communication barriers through shared technical understanding. Several times Kang observed human engineers intuitively grasping Rai technology concepts that should have been completely foreign to them. 6 hours into the repairs, Kang found himself standing beside Commander Park, watching their teams work together. "Your people are remarkably adaptable," Kang observed. "You've never seen our technology before, yet you understand it as if you helped design it." Park smiled. "Humans have always been quick learners, especially when it comes to understanding how things work and how to improve them." "May I ask how you detected our signal?" Kang inquired. "We were under the impression that this region of space was uninhabited." Park gave Kang a curious look. "Uninhabited?" "The Sol system, our home system, has been inhabited for thousands of years. We have several outposts throughout our system, including near its edges, where your signal was detected." Before Kang could respond, Engineer Ba approached with excitement, visible in her posture. "Captain, you need to see this," she said. "The modifications the humans suggested have increased potential drive efficiency by 37%. That's beyond even Confederation standards." Kang struggled to hide his surprise. These humans, unknown to the Confederation, possessed technology that rivaled or even surpassed their own. Perhaps this explained the ancient quarantine. But if so, why did the humans seem so unaware of their own isolation? As the repair work continued, Kang realized they had stumbled upon something far more significant than a simple rescue. They had discovered the secret the Confederation had hidden for 10,000 cycles, and that secret was not at all what they had expected. As the engineers worked on the drive repairs, an impromptu gathering formed in the Nebula Seeker's common area. Humans and Rai sat together, sharing meals from their respective ships. The humans had brought some of their food as a gesture of goodwill, and surprisingly, most of it was compatible with Rai biology. "This is quite pleasant," said Officer Song, tasting the sweet fruit the humans called an apple. "The texture is similar to our L fruit." Engineer Jun smiled. "And your spiced beverage reminds me of our tea, different but familiar enough." Captain Kang watched the interaction. With fascination, the humans showed none of the dangerous traits mentioned in the ancient Confederation warnings. They were curious, friendly, and remarkably similar to the RFA in their social behavior, despite their physical differences. Commander Park approached and sat beside Kang. "Your crew seems to be getting along well with mine," she said. "Yes," Kang agreed. "It's surprising how comfortable the interaction feels, considering we only met hours ago. Humans have always been adaptable," Park explained. "Our history is filled with different cultures meeting and finding common ground." This opening gave Kang the opportunity he had been considering since their first conversation. "Commander, there's something important I need to share with you about why we're here." Park's expression grew serious. "I sensed you were holding something back. Please, speak freely." Kang took a deep breath. "We didn't enter your space by accident. Our mission was to observe the Milky Way galaxy from a distance." He paused, measuring his words. "Because your entire galaxy has been under quarantine for 10,000 cycles, what you would call years." "What? You're saying that we've been quarantined?" Park's eyes widened. "By whom?" she asked. "The Galactic Confederation," Kang replied. "An alliance of 17 galaxies that maintains order in this part of the universe. The Milky Way was declared off-limits to all travel or communication millennia ago." The human commander stared at Kang, clearly processing this information. "Are you saying there's an entire community of galaxies out there, and we've been deliberately isolated from them?" "Yes," Kang confirmed. "That's exactly what I'm saying." Park's reaction wasn't the anger or outrage Kang had expected. Instead, she showed thoughtful concern. "This explains so much," she said quietly. "Our scientists have long wondered why we've detected no signs of other intelligent life, despite the mathematical probability suggesting we shouldn't be alone." Soon, both crews gathered to hear this revelation. The humans asked intelligent questions, seeking to understand rather than react emotionally. They wanted to know why the quarantine existed, when it had been established, and whether the Rai knew the reasoning behind it. "Our historical records don't provide clear answers," Kang admitted. "The decision predates even the oldest Wraithy archives. We only know that the Milky Way was described as containing sleeping giants that must remain undisturbed." Researcher Men, who had been quiet during the discussion, suddenly spoke up. "Commander Park, do your people have any archaeological evidence of contact with non-human civilizations in your ancient past?" Park exchanged glances with her science officer. "Yes, actually, there are puzzling archaeological findings across Earth, our home planet, that suggest visitations occurred thousands of years ago. Ancient artwork depicts beings unlike humans, and some prehistoric structures show engineering knowledge that doesn't match the technology of the time." "When did these visitations appear to stop?" Men asked. "Our most recent credible evidence dates to approximately 12,000 years ago," Park replied. "After that, the record goes silent." Men looked at Kang meaningfully. "That aligns precisely with the timing of the quarantine order." The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this connection. Then Men continued, accessing data on her tablet. "Captain, with your permission, I'd like to share something I discovered in our historical archives. Information classified as theoretical, but potentially relevant. Kang nodded his approval, and men displayed a series of ancient text translations on the main screen. According to these fragments, she began, approximately 12,000 years ago, a conflict erupted between two cosmic forces referred to as the Shapers and the Void Minds. This wasn't a conventional war, but a struggle for influence over evolutionary paths throughout multiple galaxies. The text described how developing worlds have been used as battlegrounds, with promising species manipulated by both sides, some cultivated for aggression and dominance, others for cooperation and innovation. The final record states that a protected zone was established around a galaxy containing the last uncompromised seed. The zone was to remain until the seed flowered into its natural potential without interference. Park leaned forward. "Are you suggesting Earth was this seed?" "It seems possible," Men replied. "The timing matches, and the quarantine is consistent with a protection measure rather than containment." Kang added, "This would explain why the Confederation maintained the quarantine for so long, without clear explanation. The original purpose may have been lost to time, with only the prohibition remaining." One of the human engineers, Jun, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "If this is true, then we weren't isolated because we were dangerous, but because someone wanted to protect us." "Not just protect you," Men suggested, "but allow you to develop naturally, without outside influence shaping your evolution." As this possibility settled over the group, Science Officer Choi from the Artemis brought up an observation. "In just the few hours we've worked together, your engineers have noted our unusual adaptability with technology. This isn't coincidental. Humans have always shown remarkable abilities to integrate and improve upon technologies we encounter," Park added. "And it's not just technological. Humans possess both highly analytical minds and deep emotional capacity," Kang continued. "We can design weapons of terrible destruction, yet we also create art that moves us to tears. Our history is filled with both cruelty and profound compassion." Kang considered this. Perhaps that's what made humans worth protecting. Your balance of capabilities, the potential to become something unique in the galaxy. As the discussion continued into the ship's night cycle, Kang and Park moved to a quieter corner of the room. "What happens now?" Park asked. "Your drive will soon be repaired. Will you return to warn the Confederation that the quarantine has been breached?" Kang stared at his reflection in the viewport, the stars of the Milky Way shining beyond. "I must report what we found, but not as a warning. This discovery changes everything we thought we knew. The quarantine can't remain in place now that contact has been made." Park noted, "Your Confederation will have to decide how to respond." "They might attempt to reinforce the isolation," Kang warned, "if they believe the ancient prohibitions still serve a purpose." Park's expression grew determined. "Humanity has spent too long alone in the cosmos. Now that we know what's out there, we won't accept being hidden away again." "No," Kang agreed, "I don't believe you would." As they talked, Engineer Bot approached with news that the drive repairs were nearly complete. The Nebula Seeker would soon be able to return home, carrying knowledge that would forever change both civilizations. What had begun as a simple rescue was transforming into something far more significant, the potential reunion of humanity with a galactic community that had been watching from afar for thousands of years. Whether that reunion would be peaceful or confrontational remained to be seen, but one thing was certain: the sleeping giants had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Nebula Seeker's repair drive hummed with new efficiency as the ship prepared to depart Earth's orbit. Captain Kang stood on the bridge, watching the blue-green planet slowly rotate below them. In just 3 weeks, his crew had experienced more than most Rathi would in a lifetime, First contact with humans, the sharing of cultural and technological knowledge, and the formation of friendships that crossed species boundaries. Final preparations complete, Captain reported. First Officer Han, we can depart for the quantum barrier when ready. Kang nodded, but his mind was troubled. The decision to return to Confederation space carried enormous implications. The information they carried would forever change galactic politics and potentially put their new human allies at risk. Captain, called Communications Officer Song, incoming transmission from Earth Command. Commander Park's face appeared on the main screen. Captain Kang, our long-range sensors have detected unusual activity at the edge of our solar system. Multiple ships have appeared near the quantum barrier. Kang felt a cold sensation spread through his body. How many ships? 17 vessels of varying sizes. Based on your database, they match Confederation military configurations. The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. They found out, whispered Security Chief Yun. Someone reported our mission. Kang's mind raced. Only the secret council faction had known of their expedition. Had there been a leak, or had the Confederation been monitoring the barrier all along? We need to return immediately, Kang told Park. I must speak with the Confederation fleet before they take action. If they're here in force, their intentions are likely hostile. Park's expression remained steady. We anticipated this possibility, Captain. Earth's defense forces are already mobilizing. We request that you delay your departure and join us for an emergency council meeting. 2 hours later, Kang found himself in a spacious chamber within Earth's Orb Command Station. Representatives from Earth's major nations sat around a circular table, along with military commanders and scientific advisors. The atmosphere was tense but focused. Our options are limited, stated Defense Minister Kim, a stern-faced woman with grey-streaked hair. According to Captain Kang, this Confederation fleet has technology centuries beyond our own. Even with the advancements we've made by studying the Rathi vessel, we're outmatched. Not necessarily, interjected Chief Scientist N. The modifications we made to the Nebula Seeker's drive system prove we can adapt and improve upon their technology quickly, and we've already implemented similar principles in our defense grid. Commander Park, now appointed as Earth's primary contact with off-world civilizations, turned to Kang. Captain, in your assessment, what is the Confederation's likely course of action? Kang considered carefully before responding. The quarantine has stood for 10,000 cycles. Its enforcement is absolute. Standard protocol would be to neutralize any contamination, which means destroying both our vessel and any humans who have had contact with us. Murmurs of concern spread through the chamber. That would include this station and possibly Earth itself, Park translated grimly. We won't allow that, stated Minister Kim. Every available ship is being armed with our new shield technology. We'll form a defensive line at Jupiter's orbit. Kang exchanged glances with First Officer Han. Both knew that even with improvements, Earth's technology couldn't match a Confederation battle fleet. There may be another approach, Kang suggested. Let me return alone to speak with the fleet commander. I can explain what we've learned about the true purpose of the quarantine, and if they don't listen... Ask, Park said. Then at least we will have tried diplomacy first. Kang replied, agreed. The Earth Council debated briefly before agreeing to Kang's proposal, with one condition: Commander Park would accompany him as Earth's representative. If peaceful contact could be established, humans deserved a voice in the discussion. As the Nebula Seeker approached the edge of the solar system, the Confederation fleet came into view, a formation of sleek, powerful vessels arranged in attack position. At their center floated the imposing command ship Eternal Justice. "They're hailing us," reported Officer Song. The stern face of Fleet Commander Do appeared on screen. "Captain Kang of the Nebula Seeker, You have violated Confederation quarantine protocols and made unauthorized contact with the sequestered species. You will surrender your vessel immediately and prepare for disciplinary action." Kang stood straight, showing no fear. "Commander Do, I request the opportunity to present critical information regarding the quarantine's true purpose. We have discovered historical records that shed new light on the situation." "The purpose is irrelevant," Do responded coldly. "The law is absolute. We have detected numerous Earth vessels approaching. They too must be neutralized to maintain the integrity of the quarantine." Commander Park stepped forward. "I am Commander Park of Earth. We know about the quarantine now, and we understand it was meant to protect humanity's development, not imprison us. That development is complete. We're ready to join the galactic community." Do's eyes narrowed. "The human speaks our language. The contamination is worse than we thought. All units, prepare to engage both the Rathi vessel and the approaching Earth fleet." Sensors indicated the Confederation ships powering up their weapon systems. The situation was deteriorating rapidly. Commander Kang tried again. "At least review our findings before taking action. The quarantine was established to protect humans from outside influence during their evolution, not because they were dangerous." "Your interpretation is irrelevant," Do responded. "The quarantine will be maintained at all costs." At that moment, the Earth Defense Fleet arrived. 30 ships of various sizes, hastily retrofitted with technology derived from the Nebula Seeker. They formed a protective line between the Confederation fleet and Jupiter. "This is their defense," scoffed one of Do's officers. "Primitive vessels with rudimentary adaptations of Rathi technology." "Commander Do," ordered Kang, "begin the cleansing operation. Target the largest Earth vessels first." The lead Confederation warship fired a powerful energy beam toward the Earth fleet. What happened next stunned everyone watching. The beam struck an invisible barrier and dispersed harmlessly into space. "Impossible," whispered Do. "Scan those vessels again." A second attack yielded the same result. The Earthships hadn't just copied Rathi's shield technology. They had fundamentally improved it, creating a defensive system that even Confederation weapons couldn't penetrate. "All Earth vessels are now in position," Park announced, unable to hide a note of pride. "We call this the Jupiter Stand. We don't wish to fight, but we will defend our right to exist in this galaxy." Commander Do's face showed the first signs of uncertainty. How could they adapt the technology so quickly? Our models suggested it would take them centuries to develop such defenses. "That's what we've been trying to tell you," Kang explained. "Humans possess an unprecedented capacity for technological adaptation and innovation. It's likely why they were protected in the first place." As if to emphasize this point, the Earth fleet suddenly executed a perfect formation change, revealing a second line of vessels equipped with devices Kang didn't recognize, technology that appeared to be entirely of human design. Commander Park opened a channel to all ships. "This quarantine was established to protect humanity until we reached our potential. That time has come. We're prepared to join the galactic community peacefully, but we will not be hidden away or destroyed. The choice is yours." The Confederation fleet held its position, weapons still ready, but no longer firing. For the first time in 10,000 cycles, the enforcers of the quarantine faced a challenge they hadn't anticipated, a protected species that had developed beyond their expectations and was now ready to claim its place among the stars. Commander Do's response would determine whether that introduction would come through peace or conflict. The fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. As silence stretched between the opposing fleets, Captain Kang stood at the edge of the Great Hall on Viperion, the capital world of the Galactic Confederation. 5 years had passed since the 10th standoff at Jupiter, a day now marked as a holiday across 17 galaxies. He adjusted his formal diplomatic attire, a blend of traditional Rathi design with elements of human fashion, and smiled as he remembered how close they had come to disaster. The Jupiter stand had ended not with warfare, but with caution. Commander Doe, faced with Earth's unexpected defensive capabilities, had chosen restraint over aggression. A ceasefire was called, and a delegation from the Confederation Council arrived to assess the situation. What followed were months of tense negotiations as humanity argued for its right to join the galactic community. The breakthrough came when researcher men and human scientists presented their findings about the quarantine's original purpose. Ancient records confirmed that Earth had indeed been designated as a sanctuary world, preserved so humanity could develop without outside interference during a time of cosmic conflict. The quarantine had never been meant to be permanent, only to last until humans reached their full potential. Lost in deep thoughts again, Ambassador Kang was approached by a familiar voice. "Is your speech ready?" asked Park. Kang turned to see Admiral Park approaching, dressed in the formal blues of Earth's United Space Command. Her rank insignia gleamed under the crystalline lights of the hall. "Just remembering how it all began," Kang replied. "Sometimes I still can't believe we're here." Park nodded. "From merely destroying each other to this, who would have thought? This is the opening ceremony for the first permanent human embassy on Viperion." Outside the Grand Hall, representatives from 500 worlds gathered to witness humanity's official integration into the Confederation. "Is your speech ready?" Kang asked. Park patted the small device in her pocket. "As ready as it will ever be," she replied. "Speaking to 500 different species is slightly more pressure than my academy graduation." A melodic tone signaled that the ceremony was about to begin. Kang and Park made their way toward the central platform, where the Confederation High Council members were already assembled. The massive chamber, designed to accommodate beings of all sizes and environmental needs, hummed with anticipation. High Councillor Rowe, who had replaced the more conservative leadership after the Jupiter incident, raised his arms for silence. The crowd settled as translation fields activated throughout the space, ensuring every being present could understand the proceedings. "Today marks the completion of a journey that began 5 cycles ago," Rowe began. "The integration of humanity into our cosmic community represents more than the addition of a new species. It signifies a fundamental change in how we view our shared future." Kine watched the faces of the assembled dignitaries. Many still showed signs of uncertainty. The rapid pace of change since first contact had unsettled conservative elements within the Confederation. Humanity's quick mastery of technologies that had taken other species centuries to develop caused both admiration and fear. These fears were not entirely unfounded. In just 5 years, human innovations had transformed numerous fields, from quantum communication to medical science. Earthships now regularly traveled between galaxies, their hybrid drives incorporating designs that Confederation engineers were still struggling to understand. Yet, alongside these technological advances came something equally valuable: humanity's unique perspective. Their diplomatic approach, combining logical analysis with emotional intelligence, had already resolved 3 long-standing conflicts between member species. High Councillor Rowe continued to present Earth's vision for our shared future. "I invite Admiral Park, Earth's appointed representative to the Confederation, to address this assembly." Park rose and walked confidently to the central podium. Kang felt a surge of pride watching her. From their first meeting aboard the damaged Nebula Seeker to now, their friendship had grown alongside the alliance between their peoples. "Distinguished representatives of the Confederation," Park began, her voice clear and strong. 5 years ago, a damaged scout ship crossed a boundary that had stood for 10 millennia. That accidental meeting between the Rati and humanity changed the course of history for all our peoples. She paused, looking across the vast assembly. We now understand that the quarantine that kept humanity isolated was born of good intentions. During a time of cosmic conflict, Earth was designated as a sanctuary, a place where our species could develop naturally, protected from outside influences. That protection worked for the evolution of other promising worlds. Many of the older Confederation representatives shifted uncomfortably. The discovery that the quarantine had been implemented to protect humanity, not to contain them, had forced a painful reassessment of long-held beliefs. That protection allowed humanity to develop its unique characteristics. Our adaptability, our creativity, and our capacity to balance technological progress with emotional understanding. But no species should remain isolated forever, Park continued. Growth requires connection, challenge, and the exchange of ideas. She gestured to the diverse assembly before her. In these 5 years, we have learned much from you. Your ancient knowledge, your cultural diversity, and your different approaches to the challenges of existence have enriched humanity immeasurably. But the exchange has not been one-sided. This is undeniably true. Human approaches to problem-solving have revitalized fields that had stagnated for centuries. The Confederation had grown comfortable relying on established methods and technologies rather than seeking new paths. Together, we have advanced technological frontiers, resolved long-standing conflicts, and begun healing ecological damage across multiple worlds.